for the land of Israel is sort of sitting in the seat next to me because I'm 4 generations down, and I'm there sort of fulfilling a dream he had.
I'm here with Rabbi Paul J. Citron, and he is the author of I Am My Prayer, a memoir and guide for Jews and seekers. I'm Justine Willis-Toms. You're listening to New Dimensions.
This is
New
KGNU.
Dimensions is brought to you by Friends of New Dimensions membership support and by Larson Publications, publisher of the book An Open Life, Joseph Campbell in conversation with Michael Toms.
I just finished reading.
At our quarter-hour New Dimensions Cafe.
I just finished reading a good book and just finished hearing mantras.
And many podcast sites and mobile apps. You can also find our podcasts and much more on our website, newdimensions.org.
I'm here with Rabbi Paul J. Citron.
So when she started asking him about prayers having energy, I decided to record.
Your great-grandfather, are you saying?
Yes, well, let me back up.
Okay.
He was born in a town called Kempen in what was, I think, Prussia then. Today it's in Poland. It's called Kepno. And he came to the United States about 1870.
Going to the In-N-Out Burger again, which is an adventure.
From
Huge
Turkish
line at the In-N-Out
Palestine once came into his store and sold him a book between 2 olive wood covers, and the front was painted with a picture of Jerusalem. And inside, the left-hand page had a pressed flower, and the right-hand side was a watercolor of where the flower came from in the land of Israel. And it was a beautiful book. My grandmother inherited. She gave it to me. I gave it to one of my sons.
The line to go to dine in at In-N-Out.
I just had the impression that my great-grandfather, Simon Cohn, had a bond or connection to the land of Israel, as Jews have had for 2,000 years. So, as I say, I can't help but be aware when I'm sitting in that particular synagogue in Jerusalem of his presence. Now, what generated this part of our discussion was asking me about the praying in community with prayers that might be 2,500 years old. It's certainly there. It's not automatic. You know, one has to go and be aware that one is not an isolate. One is part of a chain of tradition, and it enriches the prayer experience.
So
speaking of a chain of tradition, there's 20 cars to get into the In-N-Out Burger just to eat in. The drive-thru is like 100 cars long.
Even if we go, and I think this is also in your book, even if we go and we're not, okay, I'm tired or whatever,
right.
When we go, we're not only going for ourselves, we're going also for our fellow participants. That to be there is more than just for ourselves.
It's ironic.
It's for others as well.
Because I read a book about
we can lift
worshiping
them up
from home called Worship from Home this morning.
Absolutely.
Which is about being somewhere, being somewhere in a virtual space instead of being in a physical space. But it also relates to mantras that I was listening to on YouTube.
That are absolutely universal. So in Albuquerque, I've had a relationship over the years with Hoffmantown Baptist Church. It is a humongous church of, I don't know, thousands of families.
Specifically a Shiva mantra.
But what I've observed when I've gone there to speak,
that's how far we are away from
a friendliness and an outreach people have for one another. And you have got to leave that church feeling very good. And, I know that my synagogue congregation strives to convey some of that warmth as well. So there's no question about what you're saying.
You can probably hear the rest of this
Justine,
interview on KGNU.
But if you were to ask me, how come this communal sense resonates with me, I have a theory about it. I
want to hear his theory, but I'll probably stop after that.
When I was a little kid, 3, 4, 5 years old, we would go up from my hometown, Los Angeles, about an hour's north to Ventura, California, you know all those places, to my great-grandparents' home. Now, the great-grandfather of whom I spoke was already deceased before I was born, but my great-grandmother was there, and her children, my grandmother's sisters, and some of the cousins. And we would go up maybe once a month on a Sunday, and we'd be in this huge backyard, and there'd be barbecues going, and it felt like, I don't know quite how to put it, like it was my tribe, this family. And I really think the warmth of family prepares one for the possibility of the warmth of congregational life, or if you want, tribal life, or national life for that matter. But it certainly opened me to that connection.
Well, speaking of going to the camaraderie and what you felt in the Baptist church, in my spiritual lineage, I grew up Episcopalian, and I became Southern Baptist, and I became a Jehovah's Witness, and then I became a Buddhist, and then I became, I don't know what now. I mean, Unity Church. I mean, I've kind of covered all the bases, but I want to say something about the Baptist church and why, when I was living in the South, and it was the music. It was that enthusiastic music and the energy and the music. And for me, spirituality and music is very connected. And when I attend a Jewish service and there's a cantor there and I hear the chants with this beautiful voice, or if I hear, I've not been there to hear with my own ears, but to hear on the internet the call to prayer, the Islamic call to prayer, and the Mazin calling out this loudspeaker that's permeating the community. It just moves my heart.
No in and out.
So I'd love for you to, whatever you can say about the power of